Hey there, I'm Di, and today we have got an Eastery type special. Voiceover Di here. As usual, my video is late and Easter's pretty much done and dusted by this point, so it's not an Easter project, it's just a fun project. I am going to be using this paint pouring kit. It's actually a marble paint bunny kit. I'm not just going to be pouring paint all over this. That would be a very fast video. I want to customize him to look like one of my own original characters. It was actually in an episode of Create This Book. There we go. Yes, Create Cuteness. And this is where my whole obsession with mushrooms actually began. This is Hip, the mushroom hugging bunny. I want to turn this bunny rabbit into this one as much as I can. I actually want to sculpt him the mushroom cap. And when I do the paint pour, I'm going to pour the paint only on the mushroom cap. So that's the bit that's going to be the marble paint effect. And that will become the new design of Hip. Let's get into it. Let's see what we get in this kit. First, a paper cup for mixing the paint, some instructions, purple paint, pink paint, and finally Z-Rabbit. He's actually a super cute shape. Chunky feet, little tail, button nose, and a head that moves. I think I should be able to turn him into Hip quite easily. The plastic figure is rather lightweight and I would like to keep him that way, so I'm going to use foam clay to make the mushroom hat. I use the colours of clay that I'm not too fond of and mix them all together to make this charming shade of brown. I start out by using my hands to shape the mushroom cap, but then I grab some bowls to help me achieve a more even and consistent shape. It was a little unnecessary as the shape gets skewed anyway, as I needed to cut out a hole so I can fit it over the bunny ears. I was regretting my decision to make the mushy cap out of the foam clay instead of air dry clay, as it's just so soft and hard to sculpt with, as it just doesn't retain its shape. Gravity worked against me for most of this process, as it just wanted to droop down all the time, but I made it work in the end. Once it had completely dried, I did another thin layer over the entire thing. I did this to try and smooth out the lumps. That's the other thing with trying to sculpt with foam clay. It's really hard to get a nice smooth finish. Once that layer dried, I did another one to, again, smooth it out further. But after adding that layer of clay, I wasn't entirely happy with the shape of the mushroom hat, so I used a long clay sausage around the rim to try and make it more mushroom looking. Doing that, however, meant it was lumpy again. So in I go again with yet another layer of foam clay to smooth things out. It was still pretty lumpy, so I tried a thick layer of puffy paint. This did help, but I just don't think I'm gonna get this thing perfectly smooth. As I only want the paint pour to go onto the hat portion of the bunny, I tape off the ears, then shove Hip into a plastic bag and seal him up. And now it's paint pour time. I really wasn't happy with how the pink and purple paint pour turned out. I think there was just no contrast in the colour palette and it was just a bit meh. So I got another pack of paint to have another go. But first I wanted to see how it would look before I poured it onto my bunny. So I used a little canvas that I have as a test run. This particular pack of paints is supposed to create lots of cells without adding that silicone oil stuff or heat. And wowza, it really did. This colour palette is beautiful. There's a good amount of contrast and the colours pop and just all those cell areas is just delicious. So I mixed up another cup of paint using less layers this time and poured Hip a beautiful coloured hat. with Hip's marbled hat all dry, I can get to painting the rest of him. His hat has completely changed from the original design, but I want the colour of Hip to be the same. It's a nice muted yellowy tanny type colour. For the underside of the mushroom hat, I picked out a colour from the paint pour and tried to replicate it. Hip's original design on his body was pretty plain, so I wanted to make him a little more interesting by adding in a white patch to his belly and to the muzzle area of his face. This colouring on the bunny does all look quite good, but he's starting to remind me a little of a Lola Bunny, you know, Bugs Bunny's girlfriend. That most definitely was not intentional. Once I started painting in the other details, I thought Hip was still looking a little plain, like he needed something else. Currently, here in Australia, it is autumn. We are experiencing a shift in the seasons, going from scorching hot to a bit cooler and some rain. And what does rain mean for little bunnies that want to bounce through the waterlogged countryside? Boots! Gumboots to be exact. And with those big chunky feet, I can use a little more foam clay to create the top of the boot and then just paint the rest of the boots in. I love Hip. He's just a joyous, mushy, hugging bunny. And that's how we actually got his name, Hip. Hip, short for hippie. Because, you know, the saying, tree-hugging hippie? Well, he's a mushy-hugging hippie. Plus, mushrooms, hippies and mushrooms, you know, the magical kind. I'm not trying to imply Hip eats mushrooms. Mushies are friends, not food. But maybe he just, I don't know, licks a mushroom? No, wait, that's awkward as heck. Hip does not lick mushrooms. He just hugs them. And he gets a natural high from the happy endorphins that hugging creates. And that's not make-believe, that's science. Hugging releases happy endorphins and makes you feel good. Not sure that hugging mushrooms does the same. Can't say I've ever tried it. Anyway, with all the details painted on, Hip is done. He turned out pretty cute, I think. I'm not sure the new hat design should be permanent though. I've already digitised the original version of Hip. So maybe you guys can tell me which you prefer. Original Hip with the red hat, or the new Hip with the paint pour hat, white belly and rain boots. If the new version of Hip is more popular, I will re-digitise him with the modifications. I hope you have enjoyed seeing me bring Hip the mushroom hugging bunny to life, and I hope to see you next time.